Okay guys, well we're back working on the Sheldon today. I'm getting the bushings built and installed for the two forward reverse gears that go right here. And this goes on the end. We'll get it all assembled when we're done here. So this is the first one already fitted up and done. And what these originally were, now I've got a bushing pressed in this side, but what these originally were two gears. There's two gears here. They're two different size gears because they engage differently on this. So they originally had this bushing in them is what I took out, and it set in flush on both sides of the gears here, and then they had them spaced out just with some washers, and they were kind of goofy. Now this is a shaft that goes through and it oils from the outer edge, got a through hole here so it oils on the inside. Now, the first one of these that I've already got installed, they'd ground here and done some goofy stuff with it, I imagine to adjust for the washers they had in there as spacers. So I've changed that around. I still got to clean this one up just a little bit here, I guess. I got a little bit of crap stuck on it. But anyway, the way it was these sit on in the outboard ends like this. Oil holes go up, so you can oil them right there. It goes down through the through holes and oils the inside of the bushing. Depending on which exploded views you look at, some of these had a flanged bushing, some of them just had bushings and spacers. They were just, you know, from the air, I guess they were good. When I took this apart, like I say, they had spacers. There was one little flat steel washer in here as a spacer, and then just washers. It was kind of a botched up setup. So what I did, and I didn't use standard, I used oil light bushing material. I don't remember the grade, but ordered a length of it just like that, which so I ordered, I think it was a 4-inch piece of that from McMaster. It's not cheap material, but whether oil light bushing material, self-lubricating, is the proper way to go or not, I don't know, but I don't think it hurts for this application. This isn't a high-speed application. Like I say, it's forward reverse when you're running, and they spin, but they're not bad. And I can still oil them with a non-detergent oil. Now, maybe it'll cause problems down the road, maybe it won't. If it does, I'll change it. Anyway, the oil light bushing material, I don't know how well you can see the oil that's still on there. That's the way I machined that with, and I didn't use any lubrication at all. So that's what came off of just the last part when I parted off this last bushing. So the bushings that I came up with, or the system that I came up with, is I've done a flanged bushing, two flanged bushings on each of these gears. So I've got one half in this side, and it goes partially through. When you push the one in from the other side, when it goes in there, why, there's a space in between. So as it's oiled, it'll still hit that oil hole on the center and lubricate it. So that's my solution, plus I've spaced them off so that I don't have all these goofy washers and stuff. So I think it's quite a bit cleaner installation. So there's the first bushing already in, and I may have to face this off. And once it's in there, I may have to face it off for the proper length so that it's free to spin. So not, you know, we want them to be close, not as critical as maybe we think it is. Anyway, these are a light fit in here, light press fit. If I can get it lined up again. So there it is installed, and they're in there tight enough to where I can just set it up in the lathe, catch the one flange on the jaws of the chuck, and it'll run true. I can face off the other end if I need to face it off. So when they're installed, they look just like that. They mesh, spin. I spaced them off. These bolts where they machined on this one, why this one was a kind of goofy, and it's a different, we've got actually a different bearing surface, a little bit shorter bearing surface than we do on this one. So each one of them was custom to each fit. So those go together just like that. So that goes on there. That collar will go on right there, just like that. That goes there. Now, we've got the key that goes in there and our knurled knob that sets on there. And we can probably, that stuff all goes away now. Let me gather up the knurled part. Now this little knurled nut's going to go through the bluing tank, so I'm not anxious to get that all put together, but let me grab the rest of the pieces here. Okay, so got our woodruff key in there. We had to dig out a new one. The one that was in there, or I believe went to it, was kind of bodged up a little bit. That goes on there like that. And then we've got a nut on the end of it. And that's just a nut they had. We may change that out, but we can probably go ahead and tighten this down on here. There again, this is another part that eventually will be run through the bluing tank probably. I don't believe there's anything that goes underneath there. So that's the way that assembly goes together. That's going to run a whole lot quieter than the one on the other Sheldon. All right, looking at our headstock end again. Here's our forward reverse gear assembly. It sets in here just like this, other than the fact that I can't mount it on there with, maybe we can bring it clear down here. I don't know if it'll clear the gears or if it'll engage there. How about if we go the other way with it? No, won't go that way. Well, I don't think did we tighten this down? I believe we did. Oh, proper order of operations here. Take our fancy nut off of here again. All right, well, we're backpedaling a little bit here. We have to go back and build a washer for the end of that tumbler gear. And then we've got a felt wick that goes in the center of each of these. So we'll go back a little bit, do it right. Make sure we got these put in the right place. Yep, that's right there. That one goes like that. This one comes back apart. Felt goes back into that one. There again, probably not necessary with oil light bushings in there, but nonetheless. And does that go on that way, or does that go on? It's going to go on that way. I'm not sure, but we don't have this one. This gear turned around. All right, there we're back together again. We still have to build a washer for on this end. I can do that after we get this much of it back together. Well, let's get this part of it back together here. And there again, it can't be all the way in, otherwise it won't go over the stud. There we go. That'll go on there. I believe there's a second nut that goes on here to act as a lock nut. I'll probably get a couple of half-height nuts to put that in position, or to lock it in. There we go. That's free. There'll be one direction. And there'll be the other direction. No, that's neutral. There's the other direction right there. Okay. Put a lock nut on there. We'll build a washer for on there before we put that back together. We still got to worry about oil cups. Now, I was concerned. I saw this hole here and was concerned about that being a set screw to lock this shaft on. It's not. It needs an oiler right there. That's actually an oil port. So we'll have to figure that out, whether that's a flush oil port or if it's a gets oiler. The other lathe, let me look at my other one real quick. Okay, my other Sheldon is actually different than this. It doesn't have an oiler up here. The oiler's clear down here, so you've got better access to it. So we may look at that a little bit here in a minute. All right, well, we've got our spindle nut back on the end here. So we've got everything cleared here. Everything works the way it's supposed to up to this point. And of course, these have to, there we go. There's one, there's neutral, and there's the last one. So, spindle nut's on, everything's back assembled on this end. I still have to build my nut, or my flat washer to go here, and probably change that. I'll get probably just a couple of narrow jam nuts. Probably just get a couple of narrow jam nuts to go on the bracket back here. And then this is ready to go. This oil port up here will just take a flush oiler cup. And we've got to start working on oil stuff too, because there's the gets oilers to go in here. We have there's two oilers that go in here, and they're a long oiler that comes out here, and they're a gets style oiler. So I've got probably a solution for all of that stuff. And we'll need several other gets oilers. We've got them on this end of the gearbox when we get that far, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty happy with it so far. So anyway, that'll be the next thing. Probably that's this part of the puzzle done. Probably the next thing will be to rework the gearbox. I've got all the bushings out for it. I've got to order bushing stock. I don't think I've got enough for the 4 bushings that go back in there. I'm probably going to put oil light bushings back in the gearbox too. You know, they all get oiled that way. They'll all be the same. I don't see a downside to that as long as we use the right grade of oil in it. And I think that'll work fine. So that's done. The headstock's pretty well taken care of, although I am going to put new belts on. I've got to order new belts for the other Sheldon lathe, so I'll go ahead and get the new belts ordered for these too. I know they're the standard length, which is a B, I believe the number is a 82, is that right? I'd looked them up. B53s are the belt numbers for this. So anyway, that's where we're at for right now. Holding this headstock cover on, there's 2 bolt holes in the top of the headstock for this to bolt to, one here and one here. This one was not bolted down at all, of course, and the other one, my other Sheldon, has never had bolts in it too. What I will probably do with these is just put a couple of studs in there so it lines up and they set on there. They really can't go anyplace, but if they had studs, I could put a little gasket underneath the edge or something would stop them from rattling and would hold them in position there. So, but anyway, probably the next thing's going to be the gearbox. I've been working on starting to lay out the new labels, the new metal labels that are going to go here, 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 gear chart, and I think that's all of them. Anyway, we're going to get those reproduced. I've been working on those a little bit, so not a big hurry on those. But next thing I think is going to be the gearbox. We'll get the gearbox, then we'll probably go to the saddle and apron. You know, we still got a little bit of gear work to do here, but we can't do any of that until we get the gearbox done. So, and we'll start looking at the lead screw and things like that. So anyway, hopefully you find something a little bit interesting here. Useful if you're rebuilding one. So comment suggestions, guys, leave in the comment section for me below, and thanks for taking the time to watch.